Now, Nedbank Group's purchase of an initial 36.4% stake in Mozambique's Banco Unico is expected to be approved by regulators in about 2 months. This as Nedbank aims to double its African footprint. Now, to unpack this story, we're joined by Joachim Dais, chairman of the Mozambican Chamber of Economists. Joachim, thanks for your time. Now, of course, this is an interesting development in the Mozambican market because we haven't had many foreign banks coming into that market. Is it still difficult for foreigners to come in?
Thank you very much for your calling. Good morning again. It is not very difficult. What happened in Mozambique is that the confidence on the Mozambican market is just growing up now. What happened is that for the last years, many people thought that Mozambique was growing just based on we was growing from the scratch. It's easier to grow 7% if you're growing from scratch. But what happened is people now understanding of the existence of the natural resources in Mozambique and now the diversity of the economy to tourism and agriculture now is bringing a lot of foreign investors to Mozambique.
So we've got Nedbank looking in. Are you getting any sense that other banks could potentially be looking at coming into Mozambique either to start from scratch or perhaps to partner with local banks like Nedbank has done?
The strategy of Nedbank shows that the strategy applied to countries when the countries are growing in a way that are bringing a lot of interest of all other countries, all other companies. If you look at the strategy from Nedbank of buying equity in other banks, this is what he is expecting to happen on the next future, because we now have 18 banks in Mozambique, and as the economists show us, what happens is in economies, when you have such a diversity, what happens is you tend to a platform. So the platforms, what happens is instead of having 30 or 40 banks, you will end up with 20 or 25 banks, but big banks. So what happens is we're expecting the big banks from America, from Italy, or from the countries where are now companies exploring natural resources in Mozambique to come to Mozambique and buy stakes in some of the banks existing in Mozambique now.
Yeah, it sounds to me like you're saying there's an opportunity for these banks to consolidate, perhaps to reduce the number, because traditionally we know, for you to be able to manage your financial industry, you do need not a lot of banks, but perhaps a smaller size. Here in South Africa, we've got 4 big banks that control upwards of 87% of the market.
Yes, in Mozambique, we have 2 banks that control 60% of the market. And what happened is that, of course, I understand and I agree with you. That's why I'm saying that I'm not believing that big banks are coming to start from scratch, but to buy stakes in other banks that are currently existing in Mozambique. You're looking at a bank that is big bank in South Africa like FNB. Now is expecting to grow in Mozambique. It's not as big as in South Africa, but we are expecting FNB to grow very much in the next years. You look at Mozambique, now a very big bank from Portugal named BES bought 35% of the shares in the Mozambique, and now is expecting to buy another 25. So we are expecting the consolidation of the financial market now due to the development of the economy in Mozambique.
Now, they paid $24 million for a 36% stake. Was that expensive? What's the general scene around valuations?
To be honest, we're not used to those kind of acquisitions. So what I think is that it's a reasonable number. It's a reasonable number due to the development of the economy. If you look at Mozambique in the next future, you must understand that it's not only natural resources. We're talking about one of the biggest coal basins that we have in the world, in Tete. We're talking about the 4th largest deposit of natural gas that we have in the Rovuma Basin, offshore of Mozambique, and we still have to explore onshore. We're talking about the potential for agriculture. One of the biggest rivers is passing through Mozambique, Zambezi River. And we're talking now about iron ore, and if you go to the hinterland, we're talking about copper in Zambia, we're talking about coal in countries like Botswana and Zimbabwe, you're talking about iron ore in Zimbabwe as well. So Mozambique has the biggest potential for growing in logistical as well. So, and if you look at in the world, who's buying those kind of natural resources? Is the Indian basin. Countries like India, China, Indonesia, South Korea, and Australia, Japan. So Mozambique is in the right position to sell to those countries. So we see Mozambique growing not only in those resources that we have, but on the associate industry that we can create and develop around the kind of business that we are seeing now in Mozambique.